Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. You know, we've been talking about a bull market. Is it over? I don't think so. But what do the experts say? And, you know, after President Trump's speech, did that give us more confidence, or did it tell us, oh, no, we got to carry this out for another 3 weeks? Oil prices back on the rise. A lot to talk about when it comes to the markets. You know, on Fridays, I love talking about the markets, and I love doing it with my friends over at VRAinsider.com. They're the sponsor of today's podcast. And look, if you are not signed up for this free 2 weeks, a trial of their newsletter, what do you have to lose? I would urge you, go to VRAinsider.com right now. Sign up for the newsletter. They're going to give you access to everything. Their 10-bagger system, the 10 what they believe are going to be the most profitable stocks out there right now. It's not a day trading system. You may hold from 30 days to 3 years, but it's not day trading. 35% on your money on average. You can't beat this, and you're going to get access to this for free for 2 weeks. So I would urge you to check them out. Give them a try. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. I've taken a portion of my portfolio, quite a bit of it, and put it towards the VRA system. And I'd love to see what you think of it. Let me know. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com for a free 2-week trial. All right, with that, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right. Kip Herriage, the CEO and founder of Vertical Research Advisory, VRAinsider.com, is my guest. Kip, it's always good to see you.
Great to be back again. How you been doing?
All right. Well, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. Not really that great when it comes to the last 2 weeks, but I'm seeing signs of things turning around when we're talking about the markets. My 401k is way down. I've got some other spots way down. What are you telling clients of VRA? What are you pushing out in the newsletter to give people a peace of mind through this rough patch?
I think the most important thing people remember is volatility is a price of admission when it comes to investing. And that the truth is long-term investors make money. Short-term day traders tend to lose a lot of money. And I've done it. Look, in my 40 years, I've tried it all. I've done it all. I tried 2 years to be an options trader, short-term day trading. I tried for 3 years being a day trader, period, with my own money. And I didn't have the ability to do it. So I gravitated to what I'm good at, which is what my mentors taught me. I had great mentors. Both of my mentors, their mentors worked on Wall Street during the Great Depression. And so I have really good lineage. One was director of research at Oppenheimer. The other was my first mentor when I first got into business out of college. And they taught me really how the markets work, how to be a contrarian, and how to think as a long-term investor. That's what we try to instill in our people here, and to think about, we know the adage is buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Fact is, way too many investors get caught up in the emotion of the moment, start watching the propaganda of the financial news media, and next thing you know, they're selling at the exact lows. We see that happen a lot. That's one of the things we hear from our clients and subscribers a lot. I got 2 emails today just that said this: thank you for being there for us. Thank you for reminding us when it's time to buy instead of time to sell. Mm-hmm. And there is a time to do both. But right now, I'm telling you, this is the time to buy. The rest of this year we think it's going to be a near parabolic move higher. And we have all the data to back it up. Maybe we can talk about some today.
All right. Yeah, of course. So, this is the big thing. We saw about a 10% correction when it comes to the markets overall. That's a big dip in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. You're saying, and you have a history. You've called highs, you've called lows, you've called bear markets, you've called bull markets. You're sticking with the bull market call, even though we've had this 10% correction. Is that right, Kip?
That's exactly right. We were, again, I've done this 40 years, started the VRA in 2003, beat the market 19 to 22 years. So we've got a track record of doing pretty well, about an average gain of about 30% a year over that 23, 24-year period. And we called the bear market bottom on October 13th, 2022. At that time, my son and I, Tyler, who's also been on your show, of course, love you, called this a generational bull market. And that was when Joe Biden was still president. And so a lot of people looked at us like we had three heads. Like, what are you talking about? The market's going to go up. And it did. Yeah. So that was a great bottom for the market in 2022. And then we've had, except for a couple of spots, with President Trump, the tariff mania. Of course, we had the pandemic in 2020 was a little bit rough, and now this with the war. But each of these have served as buying opportunities. And what we're looking at right now is really the same thing we've been talking about with you and your folks for some time, which is, again, is a structural bull market. These are different than regular bull markets because structural are the strongest kind, and they're based in the reality of a strong economy. And that's what we have here. I think it's important, especially in times like this, to remember the United States is unlike any country on the planet. We're far stronger than any country. So when things like this happen with the war, yeah, oil prices are up, but we won't have any kind of a demand destruction in this country until oil prices hit 150, 160. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. I think oil prices are going to soon go lower. But we have moats around this country because we're the leading energy producer, leading energy exporter, both oil and LNG. And the other moats we have as far as, again, what we do is based in free market capitalism more so than any country on the planet. Warren Buffett talks about this all the time. Warren Buffett won't invest in a company unless they have what he calls an economic moat around their company. So they're basically bulletproof from competition, bulletproof from economic problems, that kind of thing. And so that's what America has. We're full of economic moats all over us. Again, energy, of course, economics, again, the strongest economy on the planet by far. We are a true superpower. Military might, we now control space. You could just keep going down the list. It's a very long list of things that we have moats surrounding us with. And again, this is going to create a long-term bull market that we believe is going to last well into the 2030s, Grant. We think this is going to be a bull market that won't be surpassed. There probably won't be another bull market like this for 100 years.
All right. So it's interesting you say until 2030 because President Trump will be out of office by then. Hopefully we have a new Republican president. Will it play a role in who's in office next time around for this stock market?
It's interesting. It's a great question, by the way. You go back and look through history. The markets really don't. They really don't care about who's president. The averages are fairly certain. What the markets do like is when there's gridlock. And so if you think about the midterms coming up, I know a lot of people worried about that. If we get a House divided, in D.C., if the Dems do win the midterms, the markets will go up on that news because the markets love when politicians can't make decisions to ruin the system. And that's what Trump has done. He's put a strong economy in place. Again, we call it the Trump economic miracle, right? It's a combination of his tax cuts, deregulation, and tariffs, and combine that with the innovation revolution taking place. We're going to have new inventions and new products coming out. Grant, remember when you got your first email? You sent your first email, you're like, what? I can attach documents to this? What are you talking about? I remember the first one I got on Wall Street. And the first one I sent them like, oh, this is a game changer, right? Then we had, of course, online shopping and that kind of thing and Wi-Fi. We're going to have in the next few years, I'll say on your show, we've been making this forecast now for 3 years. We're going to have new inventions come out that are going to blow people's minds. This is really the Jetsons. By the way, I named my Tesla Jetson because I think that's going to be the next 10 years are going to blow people away with the inventions we have. What's going to change your life, and economic growth is going to be off the charts.
Think about just AI and how far we've come in 1 year, much less decades. I go back in 1999. I gave we'll call it a news conference, a very, 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 very high profile event. And my buddy who was in Portland, Oregon at the time, faxed me a picture of me on the cover of the New York Times. He faxed it to me in 1999, right? Like didn't screenshot and email it to me and said, this guy looks like you. Now, he didn't even read the headline that it was me. But the fact that was just 1999, I know I show my age when I say, oh, that doesn't seem that long ago. I can't believe September 11th was 25 years ago now. But the technology advances is so crazy. And I think you're right about, I think the American public would make a mistake if they give us a divided Congress with President Trump in office. President Trump would be very good, I believe, for the markets and a unified House. But a lot of times the public, you know why they give us a broken system, one Senate controlled by Democrats and House controlled by Republicans, or because they don't want anything coming out of Washington. And you're right. I
Exactly.
think the markets see that when nothing comes out of Washington, usually Congress only screws it up. And I think that's
Yeah.
why they do better when it's divided, because nothing's coming out of it.
The one thing, couldn't agree more. The one thing I think we need out of Washington, and we've talked about this in the past, we need to get rid of Jay Powell. Jay Powell is the worst Fed chair, certainly of my lifetime. I think the worst Fed chair in modern times. And look, rates, the problem with the economy right now, again, it was structurally extremely strong. The problem with the economy is interest rates. There is no other problem with the economy. It is interest rates. It's holding everybody back. Look, it's killing the housing market's the most important part of our investing system. We have a VRA investing system with 12 screens. The most important component of our investing system is housing, because it's the most important. It's the biggest purchase anyone, most 99.9% of people ever make. It's the backbone of everything we do as a country for the family unit. And yields. I just saw today the 30-year Treasury, the 30-year mortgage rate is now 6.6%. Right now, it should be 5.2%, even below 5%. It's Jay Powell. So what we think is going to happen, and I think the markets are going to soar on this, Grant, I really do. I think this is coming soon. If you've noticed, and this is interesting, I think, I watch things like this. Trump and Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, used to come after Jay Powell all the time. They've been very quiet. They haven't said anything negative about Powell or the Fed in some time. Also, Jay Powell has not said anything negative about Trump and anything like that. So I think something's happening here. I believe that, of course, this lawsuit's going on with Trump and the DOJ against the Federal Reserve over this renovation project. My prediction here is that Trump and the DOJ will soon drop this lawsuit about Jay Powell so that he can get out of town. His term ends in May. He can leave, and then we'll have the new Treasury Secretary, Kevin Warsh. And that's one of our big predictions for the rest of this year. Rates are going to plummet. And then that's why we're invested in interest rate sensitive groups, because when rates start coming down, housing is going to explode higher. So many tech's going to go up. Small caps are going to have a boom time. We think that's coming in the near term. We think that lawsuit is going to be dropped, Grant, sometime in the next 30 days.
Well, so everybody out there knows, we have talked about this, and you were the one that convinced me that President Trump should drop this lawsuit so Powell can get out of the way and we get on. And it's more important that we get on with the business of the whole nation rather than just this Federal Reserve building. I want you to know that last weekend I was at Mar-a-Lago. I'm not telling you this to brag, but I spent 3 nights there and was hanging out with some pretty important people. And I brought this up with one of the most important people, not the president himself, though I did get to see him, but I brought that up and they gave me an interesting. That's interesting, and they vowed to think about this. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes out. And so, I mean, this is you that had coined this. I know the White House pays attention to what we're doing here, and so we'll see. Maybe we move it because we've got to get Powell out of the way, and anything we can do to speed that process up, even if he escapes dereliction of duty with the amount of money that he spent on that, who cares? Get him out of the way and move on with this, with the country, and getting us back in the right direction, right? That's a priority, Kip.
Rates go down, the market's going to skyrocket, and we think that's going to happen.
All right, so last 3 years, VRA Insider, I want to tell, the website is under Kip's name there, VRAinsider.com. You get a 2-week free trial. You get access to everything. Last 3 years, you've been at 37% returns. How do you, what do you attribute your success to in all of this?
Well, again, I've done this 41 years. I was on Wall Street 15 years to help take 7 companies public, managed to raise several $100 million. So I know that side of the business pretty well. And I also learned during that time how not to do things. So bottom line is, over the last 30 years, I've developed what we call our VRA investing system. It tells us when to be in the markets, what side to be on, long or short, when to be in cash, and when major trends are coming, and then what sectors and individual stocks to be in. So we use it for everything we do here. I also love doing individual research. Tyler, both our boys work here with us. We're a family business, 5th and 6th generation, native Texans. and red-pilled American patriots all the way through. By the way, most of our client base fits that model as well. But bottom line is, I've done it a long time. I've made every mistake in the book. I don't like. I'm older now. I don't want to make those mistakes anymore. Our goal is to help our subscribers, regular people, beat the markets every single year. We think Mr. Market needs to be crushed, and that's the attitude we wake up with every day. I'm being honest with you. That's how we feel. Very competitive. That's how we feel about it.
Let me drill down on some of this. You would consider the system position holders, correct?
Yes, we invest for the long term in our growth stocks, right? What we call, as you said earlier, our 10 baggers, companies we think can go up more than 1,000%. I found a number of those in my career. Found out one that went up over 20,000%.
Wow.
That particular investment turned $10,000 investment into more than $13 million. So I found a lot of these in my career. We own those in the portfolio now that we're very excited about. And then for the more active trader, we also we have our core portfolio, and then we trade around that with our leveraged ETF trading system. And so that's more of an active thing. We trade those about every 3-4 months. We're looking for lows to highs, again, using our system to do that. So we have a little bit of everything. I will tell you, it's very eclectic. There's no one like us in the country. There's no one that does what we do. I can promise you that. Come take a look at it for 2-3 weeks. You'll find that out yourself.
So it's a little combination between position holding, and then I guess the ETF system would be almost like swing traders, correct?
That's exactly right.
Oh, okay.
That's
so
exactly
people
right.
that are into trading. Now, let me ask you this. You had said you had fooled around with day trading a little bit. I used to work for AIG on the floor of the commodities exchange when I got out of school. I was a floor trader in both the gold pit and the crude oil pit. This is back in the days when you used to throw the little cards. We'd fling the cards like baseball cards into a big giant net. And people, I mean, it's unbelievable. That's how the markets operated, literally yelling and screaming across the floor to each other. I did really well my first year, like really well as a 21-year-old. And my second year, I started trading scared. And I did horribly and ended up having to leave the business because I wasn't cut out for it.
It's not for everybody.
It's not. I still fool around with it to some success, no success. Why do you think it is that day trading is so hard, even for the smartest of individuals?
It's, again, another great question. It's because people lose track of their discipline, right? They forget that I've got to pick my spots. The best way to trade is to do nothing most of the time, to be patient, wait to pick your spot. It's the same thing with gamblers. You start sports gambling, right? And, have great success. You know your teams, you know the things you're best at. All of a sudden you think you're invincible and you start betting on everything. And that's when it all goes into crap, right? And the same thing happens with the markets. If you start day trading, next thing you know, you're trading 5 or 6 different things and you lose your way. It's discipline. It's all discipline.
Not one of the best pieces of advice I learned is not trading is a trading decision. And for everybody at home, so I've been watching your newsletter and some of the other products that you offer. And you wanted to get in, right, of the Qs, I believe, right? Am I right? The Qs.
Yep, that's right.
So you wanted to get in. And you're waiting for a dip. Well, I guess the dip didn't happen because I didn't get the update to buy the Qs. And I thought to myself, well, why don't I just freaking buy it right now? You were so patient. And even this morning, I got a letter. Be prepared for a Q this afternoon. That's no pun intended, a Q. But be prepared for a signal this afternoon.
Yeah.
The patience of VRA Insider, where I'm like, well, what the hell? We might as well just do it. But I didn't. I'm following you to a T. Is that some of what you're talking about?
That's exactly right. We pick our spots. That's what we do. And you're talking about options trades. Of course, we have an options portfolio too for those that like doing it. But I'll give people a heads up. I believe that Monday we're going to begin to see a rocket ship move higher. This war is coming to an end, but we're talking picking our spots, right?
Okay.
We've got some positions we want to add to the portfolio. We've got some positions we want to add to, right? And so I think starting next week, we have Q1 earnings coming up that begin on April the 14th. The big banks start reporting then, right? So the markets are going to start front running both the end of the war and the beginning of Q1 earnings, because Q1 earnings are going to be exceptional. Analysts think they're going to grow by 13, 14%. We're at 18%. We think 18%. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a runaway kind of a year for the economy. So that's what we talk about, picking our spots. The smart money investors front run right? They front run the big moves. We think we've got some coming with the war ending and the market's going higher as rates go lower.
And yet you wait for your spot to enter. And if the spot doesn't come, you're not in.
That's right. That's right. If it passes by, you know what? There'll be another one next week or next month.
You know, it's what my father never invested in stocks. He's always been a real estate guy. And he always said, if he didn't get a real estate deal, he always said, well, there's always another deal. There's always another deal around the corner. I can't be upset I missed this one. Yeah, it was the greatest deal ever. There's always the next greatest deal ever. And I think that comes with maturity, it comes with experience, and it comes with discipline, which is all things, not to patronize you, but all things that you have, Kip, and that I'm so impressed with about you and the team.
Appreciate that. You know, again, we've done it a long time. We like our last name. We don't want to ruin it. So we work 16, 18, we literally work 16, 18 hours a day to get this right and to stay on top of what we do here. Look, these 10% corrections are painful because the 10% correction means most stocks go down 20 or 30%. So this is not easy for investors to go through, but this is why I think it's important to have an investing system and to work with somebody that actually knows what they're doing and has put up a track record that proves it.
Well, it gives me some confidence. And just so everybody knows, I don't want to ruin my name either. I only associate myself with sponsors on this program that I actually take part in whatever they're selling, advising, whatever it may be. And so, you know, if I have Patriot Mobile, I have a Patriot Mobile phone. If we got Lost Soldier Oil and Gas, I'm going to be with Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. If it's VRA Insider, I'm taking part in it because I don't want to push anybody to something that I'm not doing myself. So I put my money where my mouth is, and I trust you guys a lot. So I'm going to tell people how to find you again at VRA Insider. And Kip Herriage, it's always great having you on the program. And as always, I appreciate it.
You're the best, Grant. Appreciate it, man. Have a good weekend.
The feeling is mutual, and happy Easter to you too.
Same to you, brother.
All right, absolutely. All right, folks. So here's the website. It's VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. That's where you go crush the market. As he said, every morning you will get a newsletter which spells out the plan. And it's that simple to follow. It's not advanced. It's not technical. It's not anything crazy. It's going to take you hours to do. Literally, read the email. It takes me 4 minutes to read it. And it gives me peace of mind as well. VRAinsider.com. You want to try it out? You got 2 weeks to do it. Just sign up today. VRAinsider.com. You'll get access to everything, including the entire portfolio, and you can see what Kip's talking about. Now's the time to do it. If he says Monday, we may see an explosion upward in the market. Do it today, man, and get on board. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. Don't forget, the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks for watching, everybody.